Well, hello, ladies.
Hi, friends. How are you?
I'm great.
Good, good. It's always nice that we get to see each other at least once a month. You
True.
know?
Question.
Yes.
BC, meaning before COVID, when you guys did the view, were you always in person when you did it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really? Okay. So, I don't know, I was lying there awake one night this past week, and that thought popped into my head. Was it always done in person before COVID?
Yeah. And then I think the very first one, when we relaunched it back in January 2019, we were together at my house when I had my broken leg, and you guys came over and we sat in my dining room. I think that was our first one back, and that was with the AAP classifications, right?
It was a really great show. We had a good time, and it was very well attended.
Yeah, I think we had like 4,000 people.
We did.
Wow.
And back when we first started, our initial thought was to do it quarterly. And so we were only going to do about 4 shows a year. And then when we went online through COVID, we really wanted to try to give back to some of the members and bring information. So then we started to do it every month.
Yeah.
And we take off the summer. And so that's sort of where we're at. So it's kind of has morphed and grown depending on the viewers and what our members have asked for. But it's been pretty awesome, honestly, to be part of. I feel very honored to be on the show with all of you guys, honestly.
Yeah, I am too.
Well, congrats. Kudos to you all, because the concept and what you were doing back 2019, nobody really was doing that then, right?
No.
I mean, now the options are, COVID is kind of, heightened the awareness for the need for this, but you guys were pioneers, blazing your own trails way before. So cheers to that.
Thanks, Dani. I'll drink to that.
Dani? Yeah, that's so nice.
There's no wine in my cup, I promise.
Yeah,
sure.
Because it's vodka, that's why.
That's right. I actually do have a mug that says I haven't used it in so long. There you go. But it says something about there might be vodka in this mug. I should use that one when I'm doing my webinars.
I know. I have one that says there is vodka in this mug.
Oh my gosh.
The truth be told, if you just blow on it, people think it's hot tea, but you really don't know what's in it.
Especially your 7:30 p.m. ones.
I have a friend who is she's pretty much a goat, the greatest of all time when it comes to fitness and diet. And she's national and international, and she runs these challenges for people, for her members, and for people who just want to jump in and do a nutritional challenge. And one of the things that they do is they don't drink coffee. Now, she's coaching people through challenges like all year round, but she really enjoys her coffee. So you know how you can double up a Starbucks mug or a Tim Hortons mug? So what she does is she doubles up a mug and puts a little fake tea bag paper thing off her mug. So it looks like she's drinking tea, but inside it's really coffee.
Don't say who she is. Don't share her name.
That's why I'm like, not saying a word. But she's like, I just can't do it because I would literally be off coffee for nearly the year. Because she obviously role models, but so she kind of fakes it till she makes it.
Gosh,
that's funny.
I could never go without coffee.
Like, why give up coffee though? Even just one cup a day. That's all I need. Black doesn't do anything.
Why indeed?
Why
would we do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. I want to say
Thank
hi
you
in
for
the
joining
chat.
us.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, we're very excited about today's session. I think we'll get started. So we're very excited to have Dani here, and I'm going to get Kathleen to introduce Dani in a moment. But we are both live via Zoom, and we are also live via Facebook today. So whether you're attending through Facebook or with us through Zoom, we'll try and get to your questions and comments that come through the best that we can today. And then if you're working right now and this is just sort of a lunch break for you and you missed part of it, not to worry, this is going to be on Facebook for you to watch later, and we'll also be uploading it into the RDH view portion of the RDHU website as well. So questions and comments that you're looking for an answer for, if you want to use that Q&A function, then we'll sort of have a track record of questions that have come in. If it's just a comment, you're saying hello, please feel free to use the chat function and interact with us that way. That's all that I'm going to say. Kathleen, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. And I just want to add that if you want the 1-hour CE certificate, email info@rdhu.ca if you're not part of our membership now, because what we'll do is we'll put that into a separate portal for you so that the questions are there, the videos there, and then your certificate will be there and it'll stay there. So, and then we'll just always upload every issue that we have. You'll get another one put into your portal. So it's kind of a nice personal storage.
Can I just add one thing? People always ask, how much does the membership cost? And the membership is free. So don't worry about signing up. There is no fee for it. We just want to make sure everything's put together. So go ahead, Kat, take it away.
Thanks, Carrie. And it's nice that we can do this for free too, right? This is our give back to our dental hygiene community, to our members, and just a great way for us to share all the wonderful, talent we have out there, like the Dani Botbyls in this world. #Biofilm Slayer. Besides being a very good friend of mine, Dani Botbyl is an educator, author, and researcher. She has served as a national clinical educator with Dentsply Sirona Canada for 22 years. Dani.
I know.
I remember the beginning, developing and presenting evidence-based educational programs nationally and internationally. Dani has been a trailblazer for the advancement of ultrasonic instrumentation in dental hygiene practice and education in North America and abroad. She is credited with assembling and leading the first team of researchers to investigate the topic of ultrasonic instrumentation education. The culmination of her knowledge and research has produced multiple publications in industry and peer-reviewed journals. In 2018, with her co-authors, Dani was awarded the Canadian Journal of Dental Hygiene Research Award for Best Original Research Paper. Congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
You are so dedicated, Dani. And you interact with thousands of dental hygienists every year, and it's on one topic. Ultrasonics.
I know.
So can you share, what is your goal and what are the learning objectives when you're interacting with your dental hygienist when it comes to ultrasonic debridement?
Well, first of all, let me say thank you to the RDH View for having me as your guest today. It's always a pleasure. I love what you guys do to, give back to your membership and to give back to the dental hygiene profession. So thank you and kudos.
Kudos, thank you.
Yeah, and it's really, when I started with Dentsply Sirona 22 years ago, the goal was never to focus solely on ultrasonics. It was to, kind of focus on dental hygiene and prevention and preventative topics in general. And it just, it just kind of morphed into me really being this, expert in ultrasonic instrumentation. And, sometimes I'll get people say to me things like, well, can you come and present on another topic? What else do you present on? And I'll be like, nothing, this is it. It's, I eat, sleep, drink. And I don't know, no regrets there, but with that brings a lot of knowledge, experience, to the field of debridement, ultrasonic debridement specifically. And these days, ultrasonics kind of has taken a bit of a, we were on a great momentum before COVID, and then of course COVID came, and we've dipped a bit, and now we're definitely on a big incline again. And let me say, May is ultrasonic madness. So we're dedicating May to ultrasonic madness. And whether you look to RDHU or Dentsply Sirona or the ODA, there's tons of ultrasonic education in May. Anna Louise, you have your ultrasonic workshop with RDHU. I'm doing a virtual coaching session with RDHU in May. I'm doing some curved left and right workshops with Dentsply. I'm at the ODHA doing workshops there. So really, if you're looking to be one of those dental hygienists whose objectives is going to be focused on ultrasonics, May is your month. So now back to the question about those ultrasonic objectives. Two things: biofilm and the removal of hard, heavy, stubborn calculus. So really, that's the objective. I mean, yeah, we have a lot of people who want to know more about biofilm and how to remove and disrupt biofilm with ultrasonics. But on the same side, dental hygienists are still struggling with, effectively removing the moderate to heavy tenacious calculus. So it's still, kind of both sides of the spectrum for sure. And with biofilm, of course, there's still a good demand for, how do I use my curved left and right ultrasonic instruments better? That's still, a burning question. Kath, I know you're a big fan of those curved instruments. Whenever we have a conversation, Kathleen tells me how much she used to love her curved ultrasonic instruments in practice.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I miss those.
You miss those, or you miss practice?
I miss scaling. I miss having my hands in people's mouths.
Yeah, so those are the objectives. I think that dental hygienists are still looking for the single instrument that's going to do it all. Right? And when you're looking at biofilm versus hard, heavy calculus, if kind of those are your objectives coming to the table, and Anna Louise, you can chime in on that as well. It's not one instrument that is going to be effective for biofilm. It's not the same instrument that's going to be effective for your hard, heavy calculus removal. So, we have to look at the different instrument types and, kind of coach you from there. It's not one instrument's going to do it all.
I'm really excited to hear that you're doing more coaching, because I feel like, so I graduated 20 years ago, which doesn't feel like forever, but it is forever ago, where I really had that hands-on, one-on-one technique. And we do fall into a little bit of a trap in clinical hygiene. I don't know about you, but sometimes, we're doing this as we were talking before, and how many of us have tried to sit on our chair or fall off our chair as we're trying to, ergonomically reach things. So coaching, I think, is so, so important. So now that you're coaching, can you tell me some of the most common errors or corrections you make with people with their ultrasonic technique?
Sure. It's about inflammation. So we know periodontal debridement is about inflammation, and it's not simply, inflammation reduction. Yes, it's nice when we see inflammation reduction. That's how the tissue's responding. But we also really, the ultimate goal is the elimination of inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want to, that's something that's coming, that's something that comes to the forefront a lot in the coaching sessions is, my 5s are staying 5s, my 4s are staying 4s, my class, 1 frication's not going anywhere, but the chronic inflammation still exists. So it's not enough to say, okay, inflammation is reduced. Yeah, it's great to see it reduced, but really our ultimate goal needs to be that tissue response needs to be the elimination of inflammation. And so with that, you know, if I don't want to, you know, I don't want to sound like a, you know, I don't want to sound like a know-it-all here, but really,
You are.
Yeah, you are a subject matter expert.
okay, thank
You
you.
are, yeah.
I take that.
You can-
You know, I don't know it all. I learn something, you know, every week when it comes to ultrasonics. But first and foremost, grasp. I know is rudimentary or as fundamental as it sounds. Ultrasonic instrumentation grasp, just as probably hand instrumentation grasp, is, you know, it leads to successes in other elements of debridement. So if your grasp is compromised, then in the ultrasonic world, your finger rest is going to be compromised, or your fulcrum is going to be compromised, and then your lateral pressure is going to be compromised, and then you're going to be frustrated because calculus isn't coming off or clients are sensitive. So grasp is one of those things that I'm often correcting. And because hand instrumentation grasp and ultrasonic instrumentation grasps differ, hygienists tend to want to, you know, default to hand instrumentation grasp because that's what they're most comfortable with. So grasp is definitely one of those things. And then what else did I write down? Oh, tip adaptation. And quote unquote, and you may have heard me say this before, you know, those of you out there listening, if you've ever heard a Dani Botbyl presentation, I think keeping the active tip of the ultrasonic instrument adapted to the tooth, the cementum, the dentin, or the calculus is probably one of the hardest things to do in ultrasonics, because teeth aren't like Starbucks cups, right? Even when we're not dealing with multi-rooted teeth, teeth still have a lot of, you know, curves in them. And it's a constant battle to change your angulation so that the active tip is coming in contact with either the tooth structure or the calculus at all times. So those would kind of be my highlights. I hope that came out okay.
Mm-hmm.
Could you show us, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I don't know if you can, but so can you just hold up what the proper handheld ultrasonic would be? If you even just pretend like you've got a pen. I'm totally putting you on the spot here,
Yeah.
Dani.
I'm like
in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this is how
I have inserts in front of me. I have little teeth in front of me. Here's my piezo tips in front of me. If you guys could just see my desk, my office, you would be like probably mortified.
I'm glad I can put you on the spot. I know that. Thank you.
Type of dogs. Okay, so let's see here. So we're talking about grasp, right?
Yes.
I'd love
Out
to.
your Elmo.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna connect my elbow. So here's a handpiece. Okay. The only thing is I don't have a cord. So
that's okay.
We'll try and simulate this as best as possible. So here we are. Now, whether you have, again, piezo or magneto, you're gonna have a cord coming out of here. And then of course, hand instrumentation grasp, we all know, you know, that middle finger is going to be on the shank, and we need that for tactile sense. But when we even try to mimic this with ultrasonics, the back end feels very unbalanced and it will drop off your hand. So you're trying to get ultrasonic instrumentation grasp to be balanced. So then it's really, and I've practiced this trick for a lot of years, it's really about finding that balance point. So the front end and the back end, you know, they don't have to be perfectly balanced, but you don't want to feel like you have to pinch your thumb and your index finger together so that you're supporting the handpiece, and without that pinch, it's going to fall out of your hand. Okay? And then the big kicker here, oh, you've opened this can of worms, Carrie, because now I'm getting out all my tools and I'm going to go to town.
That's great.
Yeah, the big thing is once you find that balanced grasp, you want to be true to it when you're finding your fulcrum or your finger rest. So don't compromise your grasp because you want a fulcrum in a specific spot, but be true to the balanced grasp and then let that dictate where you're going to finger rest or fulcrum, whether it be intraorally or extraorally. Okay, how did I do? Did I do
brilliant.
okay?
I just want to say,
So,
like,
so good.
and I want to just say that when you do your virtual coaching, like,
Yeah.
people love that. Like you can see so much. Like Probably, like, I think hands-on is great. Don't get me wrong, because that's really why RDHU started, was to have that hands-on experience. But I'm just so impressed at how much people get out of the virtual, because the camera's right there. You've got everything going. You show so much that we always get people that are like getting those aha moments.
Right.
From
And you know what,
virtual.
I've got to dive in here because, and Beth Parks has been with me, since the beginning. And I, again, thank RDHU, because you guys kind of pushed me to, to get out of my comfort zone a little bit, because I really felt that in the beginning, just after COVID, how was I going to coach online, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was I going to, like, you had to be in person to get real value out of it. And again, not to take away from in person, but so, I said to you, lovely ladies, I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. And I really felt that as we did a couple sessions, the feedback from participants was going to be, yeah, it was good, thanks, but, in person is better. But, Beth, you've heard those comments we've had from the virtual participants who say, there is so much that you can take away from virtual coaching, because my comment has been, well, I'm only going to do virtual coaching for a little bit and then I'm going to stop it once we back to in person. And they were all like, no, there's so much you can get for virtual coaching. We need the flexibility to come in virtually. I live in an area where I can't get into a hands-on course. Like, the virtual coaching brings a lot of value to me as a dental hygienist. So then that's when I said to Beth, okay, I'm hooked. And to your point, Kathleen, we bring the live document camera. So I can, get real. I should have set it up for today so I could have demoed it, but, I can get really, really specific using the Elmo document camera with the coaching. So yeah, for sure.
Good.
Yeah. I've learned so much. I always joke with Kathleen, I pretend that I'm very useful with the technology so that I just kind of get to sit in on all these courses. And I've just been able to learn so much from you through these. And that actually, it reminds me, because I'm thinking about all of our experiences together, and you always get this very similar question. And just seeing your kit full of all those inserts, this is going to be a tough one for you to answer, but track with me. So you're on a desert island, okay? And again, don't read too far into this. So far so good. Okay, and then just like all of a sudden, something comes into shore, and it's this fully charged, Cavitron unit, for instance, and there's one insert on there. So as you're approaching, you see one insert. What insert do you hope it is, and why?
Gosh. Oh, that's a tough question.
Can it be flavored in cake? Just out of curiosity, can it be like an ultrasonic that looks like an actual ultrasonic, or can it be food related? Just okay, I'm going to be quiet now.
No, there's no food, but you have a Cavitron unit. That's all you have on your desert island.
And I was like, I started to think food, and then I was like, food? Come on, margarita. No food. Okay, well, I get this, I get the question, as I've already alluded to, what insert is going to do it all. So you gotta give me more information. What kind of client is going to be on the desert island, and what's the, what are the perio specs going to be? Because it really depends. Okay. But if I was going to say, I'd have to say it's got to be two. I need a curve left and right. Like, I need the curve left and right. I mean, that would be what I would take to a desert island. But knowing full well, if I had moderate to heavy calculus, my curve left and rights are not going to help me out. Okay. So even though there's been the revolution of thin and ultra thin ultrasonic instruments, both on the magneto and the piezo side, it's really important that dental hygienists reflect back on, the diameter of the instrument and the cross section of the instrument for the moderate to heavy calculus cases. If you're using something that's thin or ultra thin and has a round cross section, it's not going to do you, a whole heck of a lot of good when you have the tenacious moderate to heavy calculus. So a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that if you are struggling with moderate to heavy calculus, look for standard or thicker diameter instruments with square cross sections. And you guys remember, you guys know the beaver tail, the ultrasonic instrument that looks like a beaver tail that has the rounded toe, right? So the rounded toe is great. You can actually use the rounded toe on ledges of calculus and bridges of calculus. It's not great for a lot of subgingival use, obviously, but supra, absolutely. And then removing the removing stain with a beaver tail. If you don't have an air polisher, you know, the next best thing for stain is going to be your ultrasonic, and the best ultrasonic for removing stain is going to be the beaver tail.
I remember
And
coming out of school,
yeah,
and we weren't taught the beaver tail, and I showed up in my practice, which for many of you know is I was working with my dad, and the hygienist, restorative hygienist there said, and you need to use this. And I'm thinking, what on earth, what archaic thing is this? Because I was not taught it in school. So because I wasn't taught in school, it means that, you know, it's got to be old school.
right.
Gosh, that thing saved my life more times than not, honestly. So I'm glad that you brought up the beaver tail. If you don't know what it is, definitely well worth looking into. It is really a lifesaver in some situations.
Yeah, and do I have, of course I have a beaver tail. No, maybe not. Oh my gosh, I don't see one over here in my kit. Oh yeah, I do, right here. Here it is. Here's a beaver tail. I don't know if you guys can see the round toe.
Good. Yeah.
And wait, let me look over here. Honestly. Oh, piezo beaver tail. So there's the piezo beaver tail. So again, both technologies will have, you know, instruments that don't come to a direct point. They have a toe.
So Dani, you and I talked not too long ago about the different types of inserts. And I was saying, well, wouldn't you want to know what kind of client you're having before you pull those inserts out? Because you're putting all those inserts in unnecessary sterilization. And you're like, no, it's going to be fine because they have been tested on, I don't know how many thousands of cycles. It's not going to do any harm. So like really you'd set yourself up with a certain amount of inserts in every cassette, right?
Yeah, for
You'd
sure.
have like, you'd have your left, your right. You'd have the, what's the other one called that you like?
Oh, my left, my right.
Like
You'd
the
probably
universal,
have, you know, you probably want to have like a standard diameter instrument there, like a Powerline 1000, like the thick triple bend. And then, you know, a thin triple bend and a left and a right, maybe a thin cert. Yeah. I mean, if you like, I don't know, like I default to you guys. I mean, you guys are more expert in this than I am. Do dental hygienists in Canada, I know it's a little different in the US because in the US they do this whole, you know, Prophy versus SRP, right? And we're really not, you know, we're really not kind of, we don't really follow that model. It's debridement. And then, you know, you debride based on the needs of the client. Remember when we used to have the preventive code? The
Yes.
preventive code like years ago, decades ago, maybe, and we got rid of that. So do dental hygienists in Canada set up their cassettes for hand instruments and ultrasonics? Like, do they have like a gingivitis cassette and then a perio cassette? Or is it just a debridement cassette?
we have a decision tree based on that. It's like, that's what I'm thinking. Like if you just had your, you know, we have the decision tree for, you know, healthy clients or those with gingivitis. And you'd have, you know, if you're a universal type of clinician or you like the area specific, we have a couple of different setups for that. And then you would have, you know, what could that, maybe you only need one ultrasonic in those ones. And then as you get over to the stage 1, stage 2, 3, and then you start to really put more in and have more instruments, because you don't need, like personally, like especially with hand instruments, you don't need to have, you know, 12 instruments in a cassette for a regular, you know, healthy or gingivitis client.
For sure. And that would be the same. I mean, if a gingivitis client and what should I say? I want to choose my words carefully here. Nobody take offense to this comment that I'm going to make. Gingivitis client. So if we're talking gingivitis and we have some light calculus, mandibular anterior linguals, very little, clinical attachment level loss, give me a thin cert. I'll do the whole client with a thin cert. I don't even need a hand instrument for that. But if you're going to have some hand instruments for that type of client, then to your point, Kath, maybe the thin cert is the only ultrasonic instrument you need in that kit with the gingivitis client.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then you say area specifics in the ultrasonic side of things. Area specific makes my head go to, well, curve left and right. Yeah, are really those area specific ultrasonic instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if it's a client who hasn't had a debridement in years, and you're going to see a lot of moderate to heavy calculus, then you have to start thinking about the standard diameter instruments for that. So yeah,
but that's where I feel like planning can come into play so nicely. Like you can really check out who's coming in the next day.
Sure.
Review to see what kind of instruments that you're going to need. So you're not always pulling out the same cassettes every single time, right? And that it serves a purpose, like a benefit on so many different levels.
Yeah, but definitely for as the clients get more complex, then just as with hand instruments, I would probably set up my cassette so I have, more choice of ultrasonic instruments. And there might be a time where, say in that, where I have 5 ultrasonic instruments available to me. So maybe I only use 4 and I don't use 5. Big deal. It goes through the sterilizer. And as you started off your comment, Kathleen, your ultrasonic instruments are going to wear a lot quicker than any sterilizer is going to cause them to poop out. So no issue if you're putting ultrasonic instruments through a sterilizer. I know with a hand instrument, even sterilization affects its sharpness. Is that true?
Well, that was back in the day though.
That's not true anymore.
Well, do you remember, I'll talk more to Anna Louise and about this one, but when I first started practicing, you would put your instruments in the sterilizer, they come out dull. So you'd have to sharpen. That's not like that anymore. Instruments, the metal has improved so much. Sure. The evolution of the metal is amazing. So we don't have that as a concern any longer.
So then what's the downside of sharpening about sterilizing a hand instrument?
Well, yeah, to me, it is unnecessary sterilization. But as you said, your inserts have gone through. So the wear is going to happen way before the material would ever break down. And that was okay, that makes sense, So what is the harm in having all of them in one cassette, right?
Yeah,
but then
it's just true. Maybe you do.
And then it's just budget and how many.
I was going to say it's budget
for the day. So that you can use things maybe twice or.
I think budget is huge in the dental office because not everybody can have that many. So almost sterilizing them, I hate to say individually, but your left and rights together and everything else. So then as you sit your client down, you do your assessment, you figure out what you need, then you can go grab, hopefully open from your drawer, not having to run down the D-gown, get out the thing and run down and go get your stuff. But then you can choose what you need for that client as you need it. Because I do know budgetary restraints are pretty high in most dental offices, unfortunately. But you know what, it is worth also trying to invest in yourself. So, picking up 1 or 2 inserts to make your life a little easier if your boss or your clientele are not going to. And it sounds like with May being ultrasonic month for you guys, there could be a few specials or opportunities that maybe you can get something at a bit of a better rate for yourself. But
like Anna Louise buys all her own instruments. She has everything that she would need. She would just buy herself because she knows she wants those. So she is in control of what's in her cassettes because she invests in herself, Yeah.
Somebody's asking. Go ahead, Anna Louise. I'll let you comment, and then there's a question in the chat. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you. I think then it makes it, I get to buy and invest in myself because I know I'm going to use that. And then it ends up being easier on my client and easier on my body because I have the right tool to do the right job. And so understanding the limitations of every tool that we use is really important, and getting the right tool that you seem to be able to manipulate the best to do the right job. And please, Dani, go ahead and answer that question. But I do want to, talk about our colleagues who we've all been experiencing delayed hygiene visits, and our ultrasonics are getting a thorough workout. So please, Dani, when you finish answering this question, give us a list of tips or your valued points that we can go help our colleagues to engage their boss, who's got the purse strings, to get us some more ultrasonic tips.
Okay,
So
that's a great question.
One.
I know, not just one, but and it's not even what we want, but what we need. Okay, great question. Just very quickly, somebody wants to know how I position the instrument for left and rights. So Marlena is going to have to go to the RDH website and sign up for the virtual coaching session where we have the live document camera, and I can do that properly. I wouldn't be able to do it any justice here. So if you can't hit one of the hands-on sessions, the virtual coaching session is also set up and you can register on the website. So we just want to make sure that I make that comment. So I'm going to tell a little story here. I'm going to tell a little story about a lesson I learned when I was working. I graduated in 1994. I did a mat leave, nearly a year mat leave for the office that I was dental assisting in. And then I was in St. Catharines here in Niagara. And I don't know, jobs weren't like how plentiful jobs are now. It's a great market for dental hygienists. So being it's a great market for dental hygienists, I think there's no better time than now to, to work with the purchasing decision maker on, getting what you need. But I had to take a job about an hour away in Brampton, and I worked for a third-generation dentist. I can count, I worked there for a couple of years. I can count on one hand how many cancellations I had in a couple of years. Like, everybody came. It was, they took no consignment. Okay. It was, they paid fee for service, charged above fee guide prices for certain things. Like this office was, and I didn't know at the time, but this office was a bit of an anomaly. Patients had a lot of high dental IQ there. And when I was given the job, they sat me down and they said, okay, now what equipment do you want? What hand instruments do you want? What ultrasonic instruments do you want? Like, go through everything, let us know, put in your order, right? So I did. That was like freaking Christmas. And so then I was, I was moving along, months were going by, and I was like, you know what, like, I need to put in another order of my hand instruments, and I need a couple of ultrasonic instruments. So I went and I made this long laundry list of stuff I needed, and I handed it to them and said, oh, next time we order, this is what I need. And to my surprise, they came back to me and said, we can't order all of this stuff at once. Like, we don't have the budget for that. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? That's what you did for me. Like, when I first started, you told me to give you a laundry list of things that I needed. So I had just assumed that that's how things worked. Like, when you needed something, you gave the list and you got it. So I was like, and please don't judge me, but like, I had sickles that were not going to reach, halfway interproximally anymore. Like, it was getting to the point where like these things are getting like, I needed to replace them. So yeah, so they came to me and they said, okay, what you need to do is you need to go back to your list and prioritize, and then, we'll order like, monthly. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And so we got through that. And then I sat down and had a conversation with them. And long story short, we came to the agreement or understanding or realization that they needed to give me a budget to work within for my tools. So they needed to say every quarter you are allotted, hygiene is allotted this much money to order what you need. And that was based on us going back and looking at the business and kind of, you know, generally what would we order in the span of a year. And they broke it down and they gave it to me quarterly. Now I was in charge of managing that budget. I agreed to it. I said, yeah, you know, I can work within that budget. That's going to suit the needs. And then it was, you know, it was up to me to then say, okay, you know, in this part of the year, I'm going to need these hand instruments. I'm going to need this, you know, these ultrasonic instruments. It wasn't for big purchases. I mean, that wasn't for, you know, larger purchases, but it was for kind of like the daily operation of instruments. It didn't include sundries, like it wasn't gauze or, you know, any of that stuff, but it was basically, you know, the daily operational tools that I was using. And that ended up working out really well. And then I felt like, you know, I had control and I was getting what I needed, but at the same time, working with the constraints of the business and understanding that, you know, we just can't be ordering thousands and thousands of dollars, you know, all at once for instruments. So I would, you know, encourage people to do that for sure.
It's a really good point to bring back to your office. And I think I'm going to go back and have that exact same conversation, kind of where in the budget, how much have you thought about, if it's not in the budget, which sometimes they don't even think about it. Okay. They just don't think about it. Then you can ask for it to become part of the budget and part of a fund or a monthly fund, a quarterly fund, something to help slowly replace things. Cause that just makes sense. And then you can choose what it is that you want. Now, do you have any, with your ultrasonic tips, do you guys have any not return policy, but when you've used them, they're old and you return them and you, what's it called? Why am I?
Recycling.
Like,
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're playing charades today.
Yeah. And I'll answer that. And before I do, I also think, you know, whatever it is, the equipment that a dental hygienist needs, whether it's a new design of hand instruments, whether it's, you know, more ultrasonic instruments or, you know, units or cordless handpieces, we have to state the case why. And it has to be, and Kathy can talk about this, you know, way better than I can, but there's definitely a clinical rationale and there's got to be the business rationale. I mean, there's got to be both elements to it. And if it's more ultrasonic instruments that I want, you know, obviously I'll have to, you know, state a case for, you know, when I use these instruments, I maximize the life of a different instrument. Or if I incorporate these instruments, I'm seeing better clinical results in my furcations or my deep pockets. You know, when I purchase this, you know, so it just can't be I want, right? There's got to be rationale there.
And that's the thing is like, I just finished writing a series with the On Track Tuesday. So for any of you who aren't part of the On Track Tuesday email, we usually, you know, inspire or give ideas with the blog, and then we share what's coming up. But I just did like a series about kind of like how to be indispensable in the dental hygiene practice and gave some tips. And then I just was asked to write the editorial for oral hygiene. So I kind of took that and condensed it, and that's now going to be this month's editorial. But one of the things is when you want to implement a program, so you want to bring change to your practice, you just don't want to go in and say, I want. It's like, come in with a piece of paper. There's a document, you know, this is where we're at now. What's the status quo now? You know, the budget is, we don't have a budget. I haven't had new instruments in 3 years, whatever it is. And all the cons, really, there's no pro, right? So all the things that you see, like what are the clients experiencing? Pain, sensitivity. They don't want to see, you know, Bobby Sue because Bobby Sue is so rough. But why is Bobby Sue so rough? Because she hasn't had a new insert in 4 years, right? It's like showing them and then using the card, the insert card. This is what I'm using right now, and this is where it should be. And I should have pulled one out, but you know, those indicator cards to show this is where my tip should be, and this is where my tip is, right? So it's time, and we're providing a disservice. So you kind of show all the things that's going on, and then you have a plan. I looked it up, and Sinclair is having a special, and this is how much it's going to cost, or whoever you use, Henry Schein, Patterson, whoever you're getting your ultrasonic inserts from. And then you share, like, if we had so many kits, how long is it going to last, right? And then you can even break it down to per patient or per client. What does that cost, right? So if you have certain inserts for 2 years, break that down. So now it's costing this much per, and then just showing up, having a smile, really having a plan in place. And then who's going to sustain this, maintenance issue? Like, we're going to check it again in this time. I'm going to take charge of that. Like, having a plan and putting it in place. It would be hard as an employer, as an office manager, to say no to that, right? You're not just showing up with a problem, you're coming with a plan, right? A solution.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, and I know, there's some dental hygienists who may, feel that that's, outside their comfort zone, and it's hard to take that first step and have that type of conversation with, the owner of the practice or, the business manager. But I think that, or I know that, 9 times out of 10, it's going to turn into a positive experience. It might be a little rocky at first, but, Kathleen, in your experience, you must have seen, just hundreds of offices take that approach, and it end up being a positive experience, right?
And I've worked in a lot, like I've worked in a lot of offices, and, I hate to say, but just because of the way I had the approach, I was always able to get what I needed. And if I didn't, then I would leave. I'm not going to, you don't want to compromise. You have to be happy. And if you feel you can't get what you need, and you're not being like irresponsible, you're not being like a flavor of the month, I want this, I want that, you're being a professional, and these are the things that you need to be able to practice, right? So yeah, if you're working in a practice that doesn't respect your actual needs, and it's important, you're sacrificing, treatment, you're sacrificing your own health. It wouldn't be a place that I'd probably want to stay, to be honest.
And, and it's hard to leave. But at least right now, if a hygienist wants to make a change, we have a good job market right now, right? Do you guys see the dozens of jobs that come out? Like all across the country regularly? If you need to make a change, now is the time to make that change. If you need to find another position, for sure. That's great advice.
Oh, and maybe you want to stay, but maybe that's part of your bargaining chip,
right?
True. I don't have the equipment to do the job that I really want, that I'm fully capable of, that I'm educated enough to provide, but I need the right tools to do that job. And if you've already tried the budget and you've tried all these other things, then seriously, there's the ultimatum. If you really feel attached to your clients, which, we do get attached, then you try that one more thing.
Yeah. And the other thing is, if you love your practice, but this is the one roadblock, but everything else you love, then maybe you do just buy your own, scale down, look at doing the smaller kits for, healthier clients, and then if it's worth it, then you just invest in yourself, but don't compromise. Like, especially when we talked about that little nodal point. So that point after the 4 millimeters, the 4 millimeter active tip, then you have this nodal point where there's dead space there, right? And if we're using it all the way close to it, you're close to the dead space. You're not getting the width that you need to get. You're not getting that, perfect rotation, or so what do you call that?
Stroke size.
Yeah. And then you're pushing harder, right? You're pushing, and so you're not being efficient. You're not being effective. you're hurting your clients, and now you're hurting yourself as well.
It's a lose-lose. You know,
So many-
congratulations to Linda. Linda says using Anna Louise's strategy, she got a $3 raise. So for that, yes. And worn inserts, the beauty of, this is a strange statement, the beauty of worn inserts is they cause a lot of client sensitivity. Okay. And I know if there's one thing I know about dentists, the client experience is important to them. They do not want their clients to be uncomfortable in, you know, coming to their practices. So that's definitely, you know, as Kathleen mentioned, that's definitely one of your leveraging points, or your points, your rationale points, is that, you know, I know it still vibrates, but it's worn and it's getting too close to the dead nodal point, and my clients are really uncomfortable. And I've recommended this, and I know hygienists have taken this point home. Have the dentist sit in the chair and use a worn ultrasonic instrument on the dentists. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like they will, and then use a brand new one and let them feel the difference. Like they don't know what they don't know.
No, they
Right?
don't.
So,
That's so smart.
right, if they don't know that their clients are experiencing sensitivity and that worn instruments are causing this,
Yeah.
and you hear my passion on ultrasonics, like I would rather, you know, people hand scale than use a worn ultrasonic instrument. Honestly, that's how, you know, that's how it should be, just recycled. So what do you do? I mean, what are the recycling? All manufacturers have these, you know, repurposing or recycling programs. Usually it's something like, you know, buy 2 instruments, recycle or give back or recycle 6 and get another one free. Sometimes, you know, it can be, you know, recycle 20, get 1 insert free. You have to check with your different manufacturers. And then around conference time, which happens to be April, May right now, that's when the manufacturers have all their great specials, right? That's when you're going to get the biggest discounts typically on inserts and hand and ultrasonic instruments.
Asking about ODA, and that happens in May. So yeah, so I'm sure your dentist will tell them to go to the Dentsply booth.
Yeah, and for sure, that's right. And just, you know, I don't know what the specials are. I mean, you know, in my role, you know, I'm not directly tied to sales, so I never know, you know, I can probably ballpark a fee, but I don't know what the specials are, the promotions are. That's not something that that I keep on my radar.
Dani,
Well,
do you is there a spot where they can go if they don't have that tip wear guide that you showed?
oh yeah,
That they could go and download that from the website?
yeah, it's not downloadable, because what happens is it has to be so precise, because if you download something and it's not totally precise, even a 0.5 millimeter is going to throw off your measuring, right?
Yeah.
But you can, you know, call Shine, Sinclair, Patterson. You can call Dentsply customer service. In your insert packages, a paper one is always folded in there, not the plastic one. So there's lots of different ways that you can grab one if you need it.
If you're close to RDHU, you can go, just let us know and we can arrange for you to go pick one up, because we have some there. Yeah. I just asked Dani for some.
Yes,
I think it's marvelous. So Dani, what's up for you next? Like what's
man, we're getting to that point in the program. An hour goes by so quickly.
Yeah, like what's up for Dani after this? Like I know like this year I've seen a huge planning with you. Like,
oh my gosh,
you guys have the beautiful new facility, right? It's stunning, the state-of-the-art facility. So like your year is basically booked up now. Nice, right? You've got all these things.
All my courses are set. Exactly. I mean, if somebody wanted me to do a session, yeah, we're booking well into 2023. You know, I joke about retiring. I don't know. It's coming sooner rather than later. That's for sure. But I still have a few things to finish off. I do want to, you know, coach and, you know, execute you know, execute as many courses as I can from the new sim lab facility, because that's the best place to come, you know, to come learn. So I'll be doing that. Let's see, I'm writing, so I'm co-authoring the Marie George, Tim Donnelly, Philip Preshaw text. So ultrasonic, I probably have a copy here somewhere.
Like a textbook?
Yeah, the ultrasonic periodontal debridement textbook.
Wow.
So yeah, so they had invited me on to co-author with them. So the manuscript is due very soon. And then I was invited to co-author the power instrumentation chapter in Darby and Walsh.
Ooh,
So I know, I was so excited. So
we got somebody
Darby and
famous with
Walsh.
us.
Yes, so that's exciting.
Awesome.
And I want to, you know, I want to explore biofilm a little bit more and strategies for biofilm. So I'm partnering up with my buddy, Beth Parks, and we're going to do ultrasonics and lasers do the tango. So we're going to, you know, really start to look hard at those two technologies and what are the synergies for, you know, helping dental hygienists, you know, better remove and assault biofilm. Here's a question for the panel. What are the 5 stages of biofilm? Anybody?
Ooh.
Can we get those?
Carrie should know.
You know?
But I pull
I
up
don't
my
wanna put
slides.
Carrie,
I
you
have
can't-
it. I know it. I just can't think of it offhand. I totally have it in my my
Yeah.
slide.
No Googling, everybody. But
Yeah.
the point of the question is I think hygienists, yeah, we're biofilm minded now, but I don't know that we're really taking it as seriously as we should. I think we need to, you know, if there was one objective maybe that I might do for my portfolio if I was the average dental hygienist, and really dig a little deeper into, you know, biofilm. And that's why my passion around looking at lasers and ultrasonics is you know, going to be directed into
So that's your portfolio this year is lasers and ultrasonics?
lasers, not ultrasonics. Okay. But so Carrie, you have them, the 5 stages?
Oh, I wasn't pulling it up. I totally have it in my slide deck. Okay, let me go find
Okay.
it. I'll come right back to you.
Oh, no, let's go through them. Obviously, attachment,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Colonization,
Yeah.
coadhesion.
Yes.
Yes. I know
Yes.
maturation is in there somewhere. That's probably next.
Yeah.
And then dispersion.
And then, yeah, dispersion, detachment. Exactly.
I talk about it as a family. So they start off individual, they find a primate, they create a family, then their families get older, they disperse, they go out and they create a new family and they start the cycle over again.
And as dental hygienists providing debridement, you know, how we affect biofilm in each of the different stages, you know, that's a really important, you know, aspect of what we do.
We have to get back to the basics, which is that reason we have decay, we've got perio because of the biofilm, and you need all these tools to help attack it, but we do need to understand and look for those signs of inflammation. As you said, it's not enough to just say it got a little better. We have to eliminate it. And I feel like sometimes we live and breathe in an area or live and breathe in a practice that accepts bleeding as normal. It's not a big deal. It's what they've always had. And we have to shift our mindset. And by focusing on the biofilm, by accepting no signs of inflammation or active disease, active bleeding has to be our new goal. You know, it really does have to be our new goal. And that's one of the reasons that it is in my slide deck. I promise you it is. But it's one of the reasons that we all are so passionate about hygiene is we just need to get back to those basics. So anyways, I'm excited to attend your course, by the way.
You know, if there's a profession,
Good.
if there's a profession who can significantly impact eliminating oral inflammation and elevating systemic health, it's dental hygiene. Like, we can do this, guys. Like, we can. I just got goosebumps.
I know.
And as
That's such a good
Carrie's
message.
talking, it just reminds me of, you know, of bacterial testing too, right? To test to see like what are you dealing with?
Mhm.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Know
Or
your
a whole other,
information, know your
topic.
levels, and
I
it
know.
just helps you
Have-
with the conversation.
we'll have to have you and your dad back on as guests to talk about that.
And come see, when am I doing? I have a new course called Battling Biofilm. battling biofilm, something about, I don't know the exact title, you think I would, but it's something about elevating the use of curved ultrasonic instruments. So, even I find me getting back full circle to what the objectives of dental hygienists are, in the area of ultrasonics in 2022, really is kind of focusing in on the biofilm for, the very reasons that Carrie so eloquently just provided for us.
Well, I want to say thank you, Dani, for joining us back. You definitely are a star. We're very pleased that you would fit us into your busy schedule and provide so much information. We had such great feedback on the last show. We really had to have you back. I know there are some questions on where do they sign up for that. And in our follow-up information on the show, we'll definitely provide some of the links and the courses that are coming up. So it's easy to sign up. If ever you can't find the information, just email info@rdhu and they will be able to provide that information for you. So what do we have coming up with RDHU in the next little while? Go ahead, Dani.
Hey, I want to give Dani.Ultrasonic Coach just a little plug here. So if you don't follow me and you do connect with me online on social media, I don't know, I'm still a bit of a nerd when it comes to this stuff. There's lots of information of the different types of courses that you can also see at Dani.Ultrasonic Coach. Okay, I'll shut up now.
Hashtag Biofilm Slayer.
Yes.
So tonight we have Anna Louise's national best practice for documentation course. So that's what's coming up right away is tonight's course. We've got, oh my gosh, there's so many things. Some of the newer things would be the biofunctional practical program where we're actually going to be back in person. So we're going to do that. Some of the theory will be online, and then the weekend will be Saturday, Sunday of hands-on application with Joe Siegfried, who is our biofunctional therapist, RDH. So there's that. We're doing orthodontics now, and again, it's online and then hands-on. So we're super excited about that. What else? What else, everybody?
We have another laser course this month for Ontario. There's a laser course. We do have an instrumentation course this weekend with Anna Louise. Registration did close technically, but we could probably fit in maybe 2 people if they act very fast.
We bought 2 lunches just in case.
Yes, we'll figure that part out, but act fast. For sure.
We have somebody here from Victoria, BC. So we just did our laser course on Sunday in Vancouver. And our next one is in April. So Carmen, if you're interested in getting certified with your laser, we'd love to have you.
Yeah. And then definitely check out the RDHU calendar. We just always have so many great courses going on. It's hard to catch them all, but there's a lot coming up both this month and then finishing off the year until we get to the fall as well. So lots of exciting things. Cannabis, Care Beyond the Chair, which is with Dr. Joe Hall talking about kind of this interprofessional collaboration, implant care. I mean, there's so many things. Jurisprudence. I could keep going and going and going.
Like if you're looking for it, RDHU has it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, with that, I'd like to say thank you to everyone for joining us. Please do join us for our next session, which will be with our lovely guest, Joanne Jones. She's joining us in April, going over oral cancer. So definitely well worth also joining us then. Yes, Kat?
Yeah, can I just add to that?
Of course.
Because we're having, so the next show is called Lessons Learned When a Young Dentist Dies of Oral Cancer. And this is all about Dr. I might not say his name properly, and I will have that, Dua, Dr. D-U-A, Dr. Dua. And his sister, Dr. Parul Dua Makar, she's going to join us. She's going to be Joanne's guest. So to talk about Dr. Manu Dua. Like he was the dentist practicing in Calgary, Alberta. Discovered something on the side of his tongue when he was 33, sent a picture to his sister, and yeah, and it turned out, and you know, the oral surgeon even thought it was lichen planus, and just they just, yeah, I don't want to say too much, but this is really close. Like, this is something that this is in our area, right? This is, we own this. So we're going to be really thrilled to have Joanne Jones on with us, and Dr. Dua Bekar. And so, yeah, so please join us for that. I think that's going to be a very compelling hour that we're going to learn a lot. So yeah, it'll be very emotional too. Just reading about him, just, oh, yeah. And there's a book out. So I'll send some information out just to kind of wrap up today, send some follow-up links and what have you. And then we'll put the link into the next one. So anyone who's watching this today, you'll get the follow-up email. And then I'll also share the link to get his book if you wanted to read his book. And then the funds get donated to the Oral Cancer Foundation as well. So, and that way maybe you've read about it and then you can join us. And I think it'll be really impactful.
And that view, the next view is on April the 1st. We usually try to always stick with the first Friday of the month. If in doubt, it's always there. But yes, ladies, it has been a pleasure. And thank you everyone that's joined us. We've had BC, Alberta, Newfoundland. We've got Ontario. We've got lots of the provinces and possibly even some US states covered today. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to seeing everybody in person.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dani,
you.
for being here.
Thank
This
you,
is
everybody.
fabulous.
Thank you, ladies.
Dani.
Thank you, ladies. Bye-bye.
Bye, take care.